Yeah, I assumed your room was clean, and now I'm just now that's all I'm gonna be able to think about.
Oh no. In fact, I'll show you.
No, don't show me.
Do it. Show us.
Why don't you want to see all of our clutter? Kevin, this
Because
is what it.
I literally have been diagnosed with OCD, and it will like bother me.
Kevin, this is what's called having a family.
My house has to look like nobody lives in it.
Don't ever have kids. I'm like dead fucking serious. If you have to like have your house looking like that, kids are gonna destroy you.
They're gonna have dedicated areas where they can be messy.
That's not how that works. Ask me how I know.
What? Watch me.
Kevin, no. I promise you it does not work out that way. You get that for like 3 months, and then once they're mobile, the whole house is theirs. Like the only thing that you're maybe going to be able to like keep clean is like your personal bedroom, your office. Other than that, expect there to be just stuff. Toys, crumbs, weird, weird sticky spots that you don't know why they're sticky.
This is like torture ASMR. Crumbs. Sticky spots.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from across the country and around the world and internet. This is the Life Midwest Podcast. Join a washed-up musician, a communications major, and an Army veteran as we talk about life and events that are both current and events. And today we are talking about something that's kind of current, the PlayStation VR 2. Going to talk about that. Going to talk about VR gaming as a general thing and why VR gaming is still kind of a niche thing, and is it ever going to not be a niche thing? Is it ever going to turn into something where it's just this huge phenomenon that everyone does, like Sword Art Online, and then some hacker takes over the game and locks you all in it, and then if you die in the game, you die in real life?
That'd be sweet.
Too dark, too soon? All right.
Nah, no, it's okay.
Anyway, one thing that's gone through a renaissance is the PlayStation VR. It's always had a fan base, I feel like, and it's always had a group of people that really enjoy it and cater to it and play it. Obviously, it's not the only VR device out there. You have the Meta Quest and the Meta Quest 2,
There's also like the Vive and
the Oculus Rift.
the
Well, Oculus is what became Meta Quest. Oculus got bought out by Meta, Facebook.
Meta. Let me try it again.
We'll show your mom the Meta.
Okay, yeah, she does listen. By the way, I don't know if did I ever tell you that, but my mom is a proud listener of the Life Midwest podcast.
Oh. Hi, Carmen.
It's okay. She turned it off after she found out that we're talking about the PlayStation VR 2 this week. She's like, "Oh, what the hell? Another USB plugger thing." Click.
Kevin and his baby games.
So, just a short synopsis I'll read from TechCrunch.com. PlayStation VR 2 is a huge leap that still can't escape its niche. Better just isn't good enough yet. The PlayStation VR 2 is simultaneously exciting and disappointing development in the virtual reality space. Well-spec'd, easy to set up, and reasonably light and comfortable, Sony's latest still can't shake the fundamental issues that have prevented VR from going mainstream. A lack of compelling content, and despite a brand new 4K OLED display, distracting image fidelity, it's the best VR has ever seen, and I still can't bring myself to recommend it to anybody who wasn't already on board. And I think that is kind of where the conversation is going to go today, folks. Because you're talking with three people who are from the Midwest, but also don't really delve into VR gaming. Lenny, you wanna spill your take on VR gaming first?
Sure. So, I to I mean, just to be transparent, I haven't messed with the VR2 simply because it's like brand fucking new. Is $600 and requires a PlayStation 5. But I have used the Gen 1 PlayStation VR, and I've used Oculus a little more generally in the past. I don't own VR. I don't really see myself owning VR anytime soon. Um, but I think that synopsis kind of like really hits the nail on the head, and that's more of like a critique of VR more generally, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to like VR gaming. Um, there's not a lot of like AAA interest in development. I mean, like Half-Life Alyx out of coming from Valve is like, I mean, it's not it's not that AAA experience. The Horizon spin-off that is now for PSVR 2 is just that. It's like a spin-off, and from all the reviews I've read, it seems the consensus is that it feels more like a tech demo than like a true um knock the wheels off and see what this thing can do. um so for me, VR just isn't really engaging. um the it's if you're not hooked, excuse me, if you're not hooked up to something like a PlayStation or a tower, a PC, then and you're missing out on the hardware end. But if you're like I said, tethered, then you're missing out on the freedom of it. um so for me, I don't personally see myself ever getting involved in VR unless like they're making holodecks like it's fucking Star Trek. Like the one cool thing I've seen VR do is, and I'm sure if anybody that's in the gaming space has seen this before, but they make these like mobile platforms for like people to like basically strap themselves into, so that way like you could run, like in theory, like the floor is like real slick, and like you can like I guess you're strapped into this contraption, and like you can lean forward and run and strafe and walk in like a natural way. um but aside from that, it's all real clunky, I guess. So I yeah, I just want it to I want VR to be better and cool, and it's like it is kind of cool. But a lot of VR games, in my experience, are they're like indie devs, trying to like build basically a proof of concept, and doesn't really get further from there. So, um, I'd like to see it evolve. I'd like to see it do better, but it's just not for me.
Gotcha. Better, but still for porn. Wes?
Yeah, I have a little bit of experience with VR. So I started off with the first PlayStation's VR. I never owned it, but I played like it was supposed to be like a scary story game. And when you like look in different directions, like there'll be jump scares, and that was sufficiently terrifying. Um, I've also played on the original Oculus. They had like a roller coaster game and Beat Saber and like a shooting game, and it was really wonky. I was not a big fan of the first Oculus. The roller coaster was cool. I actually like my stomach dropped like I was actually on a roller coaster. But the shooting game just didn't feel good. And then I've played with like a headset VR for a phone, and that was pretty cool. I have friends who are currently playing with the new VR, the Meta one, Meta Quest 2, and they really, really like it. It's kind of like their whole thing. All they do is play VR. Um, but I have not played it in, I don't know, 3, 4 years at this point. I think it's a really cool concept. I've heard of a lot of therapeutic advantages to using VR. such as like if you're in like chronic pain, you can play VR and you don't associate with your original body, kind of like the phantom arm experiment, like where if you stab a fake hand and it looks like yours, you'll pull back. um, I've actually played an app like that on the phone headset where there's a fake hand and it's yours, you look down, it looks like your hand, and then the other hand stabs it, and literally you get a jerk reaction like holy crap. So I have a friend actually who has chronic pain, like to a severe point, and they use VR for therapy. Basically, they go play VR chat and go into like unique worlds and hang out with people, go to like raves and parties, and it alleviates a lot of their body pain. They kind of leave their physical body, I guess, not really, but like in their head, the important parts that feel the pain, and for hours they don't feel that intense pain that they normally feel. So that's where I think it's cool. I think there's some therapeutic and medical applications to it. Also, with games like VR chat, kind of how we're exploring like how psychedelics can help with therapy. I think really putting yourself in a unique and being able to be or in a unique situation, such as like I'm on a flying cloud with a therapist or something like that. You're not there physically, but you feel like you're there physically, and you can be vulnerable because you're not really there. There's kind of like this barrier to so being social that's broken down because you're literally miles away, maybe hundreds or thousands, and you could probably use it for actual like therapy and trauma management and pain management. So I think there's some really cool therapeutic applications to VR. As far as being a practical gaming application, I would vomit if I played too long in VR, so it's not for me. I get like I guess it's motion sickness. Like I feel like I'm about to get dizzy and faint if I play too many like whirling VR games.
That makes
Um,
sense when you're talking about like the therapeutic part of it because it heightens all of your all of your senses, and so that's what your body pays attention to, and you're able to kind of let go of like the physicality of being in the real world. I get the pain management thing. That's really cool.
something that like Wes and you guys just touched on is like the therapeutic aspect of it. I know um, that I don't know if it's still ongoing or like if anything like really became of it, but excuse me. Um, I know that the VA and some more military like veteran focused charities were experimenting with VR for therapeutic reasons. So I mean, like if that goes somewhere or has gone somewhere, then that's fantastic. And I think that's where VR is truly gonna shine, is as more like a clinical tool than anything like entertainment related. Like for example, like I could see VR being used in like building basically. So like whether it be like schematic blueprints and like making the structure like in space so that like architects or builders can see like what they're going to build prior to it actually going up. um it could be like super helpful. um so I think I think VR just hasn't found what its best use case is. I don't know how you guys feel about that idea, but
I think the potential's insane. I just don't
Yeah.
think we're there.
Kevin, have you experienced like VR at all?
No, not at any level. Um, but what I will say is that I think we're going to enter this fork in the road where you have I think we're going to enter this fork in the road where you have virtual reality and augmented reality, kind of like how you had high definition DVD and Blu-ray. And I think the industry is going to go, okay, which way are we going?
Augmented reality is something that like I think is a little bit more exciting than
Mm-hmm.
true VR because like I don't know if like it's even still being developed, but like the what was it Microsoft called it like what HoloLens, I think. Is that what they were calling their augmented reality for a
Microsoft has a
while?
project in the works, and Apple does as well.
Yeah. So like just seeing some like the proof of concept stuff that like HoloLens was doing was like really cool. I'm sad that Google gave up on Google Glass because I think that really um, could have gone somewhere as far as like augmented reality goes. Anyways, I
You want to
like the
talk about a
idea.
company that gets their feet wet and then goes, "Nyeh," before
Yeah,
the feet are even fucking dry.
yeah, Google. They did it with the Pixel too, right?
Rest in
Right,
peace,
Wes?
Stadia.
They buy these nice little niche companies and then let them die. Google's terrible at that.
No, they're really
Yeah,
good at letting them die.
I was going to say they're actually really good at that. Yeah, I don't think they're terrible at that at all. Here's my other take on it, man. Before we go to the break, I think that you guys remember when the N64 came out and we had like 3D gaming, right? Thinking of Ocarina of Time, Super Mario World, 64, etc.
GoldenEye.
Um, I imagine that VR is in this stage where it's like, imagine if like the N64 had come out without some blockbuster title. And that's no disrespect to the VR titles that are out right now, like Horizon and Resident Evil and all of that, but it's just those are ports. I'm talking about an original blockbuster game for the platform that breaks it out of this niche area and stage that it's in. But at the same time, it's not just that one game that breaks it wide open, because then you're paying $5.50 to play one game which isn't right. You guys get what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah, no, I get where you're going with that. I don't think it's like uh I don't think they're quite like a one-to-one scenario. Um Simply for the fact that like I don't know, like a base console release like outside of like Dreamcast is like always like a sure solid bet, right? And like all those titles that you're talking about were self-published by Nintendo, whereas like what PlayStation's doing is, for one, you're right, they're just making ports, which is kind of a problem because if you're going to port a game to VR, why not just play it on the system you have right in front of you, right? It's just
Right,
really
like
complicated.
you're not gonna spend $60 on a game, beat it, and then go, man, I can't wait to replay this in VR.
Yeah. Or you're not going to buy a game and be like, I can't wait to play it in VR, but also at the same time on the console. It doesn't make any sense. But I think the technology in and of itself is still we kind of talked about earlier, just hasn't found like where it's best suited to, and is like still there for a risk. Whereas like Nintendo had already been putting out banger systems, right? Um, in the same way, like with Sony, as far as like systems go, with like PlayStation 1, 2, yada yada yada. So I think the fork that we're truly gonna see, as far as like true VR goes, is does it even like survive, or does it go the way of like 3D TVs and 3D movies and just disappear?
I think VR will survive, just not maybe in the gaming sphere. Because they're using it in so many things. So like you know how fire departments used to have like earthquake or fire scenarios that had like these. I don't know, maybe not in our area or in the Midwest because there's not earthquakes, but maybe over in the Pacific coast they might have them. But they're like big, expensive devices that shake and have a screen that simulate an earthquake. You
Yeah.
can just do that
No,
in
they're
VR now. Also,
yeah.
there's a country literally going to VR. So like, uh, I'm gonna pronounce the country's name wrong. anything that's website.tv, Tuvalu or something like that, this is the first country that's going to be completely submerged underwater in the next like 20 years, maybe 50 years. So they've remapped their entire country online, and now they're a digital country. They're literally registered as a country on the internet. They're the first country to do that. So we might have like citizens of VR places. I think the metaverse is a terrible fucking thing, and I don't think it's going to happen. And I think Zuckerberg can zuck it, or that's a terrible pun. But that is his pipe dream that's never going to happen. It looks terrible. It's an awful thing. But in the future, someone's going to do it, right? And we have like universities really investing in stuff like this, museums investing in stuff like this, fire departments, countries, the caves that have like the paintings or drawings from like 15,000 years ago. I don't know what their name. They're in France. They're really famous. Those are now completely VR, so you can pop on a VR headset and do a virtual tour. And of course, like VR chat type stuff. I don't think VR is going to die, and I definitely think it's going to diverge itself really, really distinctly from AR. I think the metaverse should have been done in AR, really. Just like create environments inside cities that already exist. And that probably would have been more successful. But I don't think VR is going anywhere because of its practical applications in the realm of like history, science, safety prevention.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Coming up on the other side of the break, one bag of oatmeal may feel like you're rationing food stamps for months on end. But why does two feel like looking at Lenny's Funko Pop collection and just completely overwhelms you? More on this after the break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Life Midwest podcast. On the other side of the break, it's your host, Kevin Palmer, Lenny Walls, and Wes Shirley. Hey, if you're looking for ways to support us, we do have a plethora of ways that you can do so. You can donate to the show. It does cost money to run the show at paypal.me/thelifemidwest. You can also support us for free. Donate to us for free. Donate us air and other free tokens of sources of energy and spirit fingers.
We need your energy.
Yeah. Goku needs your energy. That won't make any sense unless you're watching the YouTube version of this, but whatever.
Hey.
Interact with our social media manager, Lenny, at all major social platforms at The Life Midwest. Check out Wes's website at thelifemidwest.com. And of course, you can email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. No new emails to read this week, but if we ever get any, we will read them to you. And finally, and most importantly, tell your friends about us and leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. We're always looking out for those, and we appreciate those 5-star ratings very, very much. Thank you.
But I don't have any friends.
That's not true. We're here.
Yeah. The fuck?
I wasn't being Wes. I was being one of our listeners who I don't know. Not a specific listener. All of our listeners are very popular and have a lot of friends. I was just...
Well, all of our listeners have at least 3 friends. They have us.
That's true. That's a good point.
We've even introduced ourselves in our own friendly episodes.
So, like, no one in this conversation has no friends.
Speaking of friends, we have a comment on one of our YouTube videos.
Oh, would you like to read it to us?
At Yimmy Fugate 9065. Definitely enjoy being able to see y'all. Makes me feel more connected with the show. Well, Yimmy Fugate 9065, we feel connected to you also. In every way you want us to be connected. Spiritually, emotionally, physically. We are all connected in the great circle of life.
Yes, very
okay,
good.
Wes, in post, I need you to do that part of the Lion King when he's talking, like at the end, where it's like da 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 da.
I will.
You know, where it's like raining and shit. You know.
I don't know anything about the Lion King.
Honestly, I'll send you the clip.
It would just be better to like Photoshop my face on top of Mufasa. Anyways, we're getting away from it here. Yumi Fugate, thanks for the comment. We feel connected to you too.
See, that's all you had to say, but you had to get fucking weird with it.
Well, I mean, what else do they expect from us?
Us talking about you.
Me, us.
Hey, we're a team here. We can be an
We're
us. Also,
yeah,
it's
we're a
okay to be
triumvirate.
weird. We let's get physical.
Everybody's weird. There's no such thing as normal.
Normally
Reality's an
weird.
illusion.
Normal is simply a perception, but that's just that's another episode that we'll have to come back and talk about. For now, we're gonna turn to Wes for learning Wes with Ty. Wes.
So today on Learning Wes with Ty, we're going to talk about some real useful Thai adjectives. We have yao, which means long. We have yai, which means big. And we have lek, which means small. And we have nim and num, which means soft. You can guess the context, but yeah, so soft is nim nim num num. Actually, the context is I'm a little bit chubby, so Yui will like slap my belly and be like nim nim num num. And yai, because I'm fat, I have pung yai. Pung is like belly, not like stomach or not like a normal belly. Pung is literally like a big belly. Like they have their own word for big belly, like fat. You have a pung. So to have something is me, like you'll say like Wes me pung yai, like I have a big belly. Or I have a belly that's big. Or Wes me ham yao, I have a penis that's large. or long.
How would you? What's you? As in like to like tell somebody. So like, how would you say you have a big belly? Because I need this for work tomorrow.
Depending on who you're talking to, it's different. If you're talking to someone you don't know, you might say kun, like in front of their name. Like kun, Lenny, me, pungyai. But you wouldn't. It depends. If you're really good friends with them, you can say like there's a level of like familiarity. So like it goes like
it sounds like he wants to be very familiar, informal, and as disrespectful as possible.
Disrespectful as possible. You'd be like, mung mi pung yai. It's like you, but saying mung is like the equivalent of telling someone to go fuck themselves. Like it. So like every time I say it, Yui gets mad at me. She's like, stop. I'm like, what? It's just a word.
So mung is go fuck yourself.
Kind of, but it literally just means you. Like, hey, you.
So is it just because like in like the language and culture, like to like use like an adjective of like somebody instead of like identifying them by name is like disrespectful?
You don't necessarily have to identify them by name. So like if it's someone older than you might say P. It's like older person, older brother, like so P Lenny or P Kevin. If they're younger, you might say Nong, so like Nong Lenny, Nong Kevin. But if you're talking directly to someone, you can say te, which is you, but it's like informal, but not like rude. It'd be rude if you didn't know them. But you might just say kun and then their name. So kun Lenny, kun Kevin. If you're saying me, it's like Pom Wes. If you're a girl, you say Chan. But if you're a guy, you say Pom. So it's gendered a little bit. But if you just like in Japanese, if you say omae, you're like omae wa mo shinderu, like the meme. You're saying you in like a really mean way. So like mung is almost like omae, but it's worse. Yui said people get shot over saying that. It's like fighting words. So don't.
Oh my is like hey fucker,
Okay, so one more time, how would I tell this fat fuck that they're fat?
Oh my god, I'm getting canceled in Thailand.
Sounds like you just did it.
Right, yeah. Just in English is fine. No, it would be mung mi pung yai. And you can, if you want to say they're really fat, you can say mak or yai yai. You can double the adjective yai yai, yao yao.
Mung mi pong yai.
Kind of, yeah. I don't pronounce it right either, so I don't know how to correct you if that's wrong. Mung mi pung yai yai mak nakap.
Close enough for what I need it for.
Thai's hard, man. You can just throw like in Japanese, you can literally just throw yo on the end, and like you're adding like an exclamation point to it. But like Thai, you have to like change up your like context to your words.
Omae wa totemo futoi yo. Like you were very
Yo.
fat.
See, yo. It's kind of like I don't know. I'll give the folks another Japanese example. Like majikai is kind of like are you kidding me or are you serious? Whereas like majikai yo is like are you fucking serious? Like are you fucking kidding me? Like it's just more dramatic. But Thai's fucking hard, man. Mad respect.
Thai's it's got me. It's tonal too. So like to add more complexity to it, like key, as I said earlier, it's tonal. So it's in a way that like if you say it wrong, you're saying like to ride a bike or like probably 20 other things. Like they have mountain, rice, the word for white, and it's cow, 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 cow. But they're all like cow, 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 and I can't do it. It's like no one will understand what I'm saying in Thai, so I'm probably fine. Everything I've told you guys is wrong anyways because it's in the wrong tone.
Fair enough. On that note, folks, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun talking about the PlayStation VR for a solid 5 out of 30 minutes this week. It's time to go to the shout outs. Lenny, what do you got for us?
So first I'm going to shout out my wonderfully beautiful wife, Brittany, who is not a hag. I love you. And she'll understand what that means. Second shout out goes to you guys for creating this space, asking me to be a part of it every week. And also to Yumi Fugate for feeling connected to us. Shout out to Thailand and Yui and everybody teaching you really dirty words, Wes. I really appreciate them more than I think they understand or know. And shout out specifically to Kevin's mom. How you doing? We love you. And you always bought really good snacks when I was staying the night at his house to play Halo until like the sun came up.
She still does. I raid the cupboards when I go over there now. Wes, how about you?
Shout out to my wife Yui and every person in Thailand that I'm disparaging by running their language through the fucking dirt. Shout out to Kevin's mom as well. I still call video games baby games after hearing that. I think that's hilarious. And shout out to all mothers, actually. Call your moms. They want to be called. They miss you. You might have called them yesterday. Call them again. You have time. Shout out to both of you. Thanks for doing this thing with me. And no anti-shoutouts this week. Everyone's doing good, apparently.
I didn't cover anything worth an anti-shoutout, I guess. Kevin, who you got for us on your shoutouts this week?
Want to shout out Sony for some advances in virtual reality, just not enough to make it to the mainstream as far as we're concerned. We're not Sony haters. In fact, I think all of us either owned or have owned a Sony console at some point. So worth shouting them out. Want to shout out my boys, Lenny and Wes. Want to shout out Wes's recording studio, Wes's recording booth.
My workout mat.
I was waiting for you to just be like, and it like fell down. Lenny's Funko Pops, Razor. I guess my own.
If you want to get that joke about the Funko Pops, you have to watch the YouTube videos now.
I guess my own mom.
Yeah, shout out your own mom. Hell
call your mom.
Can we call your mom?
You guys can.
Can the listeners?
I'm not going to subject my mom to that.
Fair.
I tell you what, listeners, if you want to call Kevin's mom, give us a shout out, and on Twitter or whatever your preferred social media platform is, and we'll make sure that she gets all the well wishes and love.
That's a reach for some social media interaction, but I guess we'll take it.
What the fuck up is my job.
Man, the camera got shaky there for a second. That was like a fucking TikTok effect. Anyway, call your mom. Tell someone you love them. Hey, we'll be back next week, next Saturday, and every Saturday. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. Reach out to us at support@thelifemidwest.com. Interact with our social media manager, Lenny, at, you guessed it, The Life Midwest. And apparently that's how you can get well wishes to my mom. Check out our website at thelifemidwest.com. And folks, we will see you next Saturday and every Saturday here on the Life Midwest podcast. Take care. Have a good one.
Deuces.
I love you guys.